I have watched over 400 people take their last breath. I have held the hands of strangers in their final moments. I have been in the room when families said goodbye. I have watched people cross from this side to whatever comes next. And in 40 years of doing that, I noticed something. A pattern. So consistent, so clear that I could almost predict it before it happened. Nobody, not once, not a single person wished they had worked more. My name is Frank. I am 83 years old. I practiced medicine for 40 years, the last 20 as a palliative care physician, which means my entire job was being with people who were dying, not trying to save them, just being with them, making the end as dignified and as peaceful as it could be. It is the hardest work I have ever done, and the most important, because in those rooms, at those bedsides, I learned things about life that I could not have learned anywhere else. I want to share some of those things with you today. Not as a doctor, as a man who has spent his career at the only place where everything becomes completely clear. The end. You are busy right now. I understand that. You have things to finish, deadlines to meet, problems to manage. Your phone has notifications that feel urgent. Your inbox has emails that feel important. Your schedule is full of things that feel necessary. And somewhere in the back of your mind, there is a list of other things. Things that are not urgent, that have no deadline, that nobody is waiting for. The conversation you need to have with your father. The friend you keep meaning to call. The trip you have been promising yourself. The version of your life that you keep postponing until things calm down. You will get to those things later, when there is more time, when things are less busy. I need to tell you something. I have sat with hundreds of people in their final days, and I have never once heard someone say, "I'm glad I responded to those emails." But I have heard more times than I can count, "I wish I had more time with my children. I wish I had told him I loved him. I wish I hadn't waited so long to forgive her. I wish I had taken that trip." The things that feel urgent right now will mean nothing at the end. The things that feel easy to postpone, those are the things that will matter more than anything. I want to tell you about a patient I will never forget. His name was Edward. He was 67 years old, retired engineer, intelligent man. He had been diagnosed with a terminal illness and had about 3 months to live when he came into my care. Edward was one of the most organized people I had ever met. Even in those final weeks, he had lists. He was managing his affairs, settling his finances, making sure everything was in order. But when I sat with him, when we moved past the logistics and into the actual conversation, what I found underneath all that order was a man in quiet agony. Not because he was dying. He had made his peace with that. Because of his son. He and his son had not spoken in 11 years. A disagreement, he described it to me as a stupid argument about something he could no longer even fully remember, that had calcified over time into silence. Both of them waiting for the other to reach out first. Both of them too proud to be the one who moved. And now Edward had 3 months and his son did not know he was dying. I asked him if he wanted to reach out. He looked at me for a long time, and then he said, "I don't know if he wants to hear from me." I said, "You have 11 years of silence and 3 months of time. Whatever he wants, he deserves to know." Edward wrote his son a letter that week. A real letter, handwritten. His son came. They had 6 weeks together before Edward died. 6 weeks, after 11 years of silence. Edward told me in one of our last conversations that those 6 weeks were the best of his life. Not despite everything, because of everything. Because they both knew the time was real and finite, and they did not waste a minute of it on anything that didn't matter. He died with his son's hand in his. And I sat in that room afterward, and I thought about all the years those two men had lost. All the ordinary days that could have been spent together. 11 years of silence over something neither of them could fully remember. And I made a decision that day that I want to pass on to you. Never let pride decide the length of a silence. After 40 years at the bedside, I want to tell you what I know about regret. Regret at the end of life is almost never about the risks you took. It is almost never about the failures, the embarrassments, the times you tried something and it didn't work. Regret is almost always about the connections you let fade, the words you didn't say, the time you didn't give, The people you loved but never quite got around to showing it clearly enough. Because at the end, none of the rest of it matters. The career becomes a resume that nobody reads. The money becomes an estate that gets divided. The achievements become a paragraph in an obituary. But the people, the actual human beings you loved and were loved by, those are the only things you think about when time runs out. And here is what I need you to understand. You know this. On some level, you already know this. Most people do. The problem is not knowledge. The problem is that right now, the career feels urgent and the relationships feel permanent. The deadline feels real, and the dinner with your father feels like something that can wait until next week. But relationships are not permanent. People are not permanent. The time you have with the people you love is a specific, finite, unrepeatable thing, and it is running out right now, quietly, without any alarm. I am going to ask you to do something today. Not tomorrow, today. Think of one person who matters to you and who you have been meaning to reach out to. A parent, a sibling, an old friend, someone you had a falling out with years ago, someone whose name just appeared in your mind right now. Call them. Not a text, a call. Not because things are perfect between you. Not because the timing is right. Not because you have figured out the perfect thing to say. Just because they are here and you are here, and that is enough of a reason. I have spent 40 years watching people run out of time before they made that call. Do not be one of them. The phone is right there. Tell me in the comments who is the person whose name just came to mind. You don't have to tell me the whole story. Just say I know who I need to call, and then go call them.